It's time for the Money Puzzle Podcast. With good conversations and realistic solutions to the money puzzles we all face every day. I'm your host, financial advisor, chartered financial consultant, and president of Edgin Insurance and Financial, Robert Edgin. Now let's get this show started. Hi there, hello, and welcome to the Money Puzzle Podcast. I am Robert Edgin, and I'll be your guide for the ride for the next 10 to 15 minutes. Each week, we look at a different piece of the money puzzle and practical ways to solve it so that you can have the financial confidence that you deserve and the future that you dream of. Now, this is episode number 3, and today we are talking about a few practical ways to free up some extra money so you can put it to better use. I'm filming from my home office today instead of the studio, so it might sound a little bit different. If you're watching it on video, it will obviously look a little bit different, but we have a springtime blizzard in Colorado Springs that's preventing me from getting to the studio. So we're going to be doing some follow-up this episode to my toilet paper experiment, which we started in episode 1. And I got to be honest, that actually taught me more than I expected. I'll also share some other lessons learned while I was doing my homework for this show and how it's benefiting my personal finances. And that's actually one of the things that I love about doing a podcast and what I love about teaching in general. The more you teach, the more you learn. They say when you teach something, you actually learn it twice. They say when you teach something, you actually learn it twice. We're all on this journey together. Some of us are just at different stages than others. Some of us are further along the path. So on top of getting to help clients address their money issues and solve their financial puzzles, in addition to getting to talk to all of you about it, I get to learn along the way myself and improve my situation as well. Anyway, I'm excited to get into today's conversation, but before we get into the hot topic for today, I do a lot of reading and a lot of research, and I come across different financial news headlines that catch my eye. So every week I like to take a minute and look at some news. This week's article is from Finder.com, and the headline is, Americans' drunk shopping habit balloons to $39.4 billion per year. It says more than a quarter, 26% of Americans admit to shopping under the influence, totaling some 53.4 million people, according to the latest drunk shopping survey. While the number of people buying items after drinking is on the way down compared to last year, how much they're spending is on the way up. The story says that collectively, Americans spent $39.4 billion in the past 12 months, up from $30.4 billion a year ago. But the percentage of Americans who say that they are drunk shopping has decreased from 46% to 26% over the past 12 months, which means that the amount we're spending, according to the survey, per person is on the rise. However, according to me, that just means that the other 20% who said they were drunk shopping last year lied about it this year and are probably still drunk shopping just the same. Now, if you're curious as to what people were spending their money on while they were drinking, the biggest category was food, followed by clothing and shoes. I kind of get all of those things, but a few of the categories really stood out to me. For example, 11% of that $39 billion was spent on vehicle purchases while people had been drinking. 14% went to vacations or vacation purchases, and 12% went to new pets. I've got to say, if you are booking vacations, buying cars, or adopting pets after a night out on the town, I think that it's time to set up a chaperone for your next night of fun. Very interesting stuff. Anyways, that's it for the news. I've got the link to the story in the show notes if you want to read more about that article. But for now, let's get into today's hot topic. So today we're talking about how to free up some money so that you can put it to better use. Better use, what exactly does that mean? Well, most of the clients that I work with have two main challenges that they are dealing with. The first is controlling debt or paying off debt. And the second is making sure that they save enough for the future that they dream of. Sound familiar? It should, because it is overwhelmingly the two most common financial challenges that most people are facing today. So for starters, using your money better could mean paying off some debts, or saving some extra money for the future. But better use could also mean taking that family vacation that you've been putting off for the last 7 years, or getting little Susie some golf lessons so she can make the varsity team, or maybe putting Timmy in those braces that he so badly needed. Better use means putting your money into things that bring you joy or move you in the direction of your goals. Now, I don't know about you, but putting money into a credit card payment or a mortgage payment or a car payment, sure, maybe the house or the things I purchased or the car I'm driving brings me joy, but ongoing continuous payments don't bring me joy. So when I'm talking about better use, it implies that it's better than something. So sure, I'm talking about those bigger things, but really what I'm talking about is leakage or money leaks. A bunch of small amounts leaving your account every month that you either don't notice, you have forgotten about, or the amounts are just so small that you don't pay enough attention to them to do anything about them. Things like a Hulu add-on on your cell phone bill, or those extra 100 channels on your cable that you've not watched for the last 14 months, or maybe that Field and Stream magazine that you subscribed to 14 years ago when you had a fishing pole, but now that you don't own a fishing pole anymore, you might not need anymore. You will be amazed at how much of those little leaks add up to each month when you find them, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to find those leaks and get rid of them over the course of the next week. In fact, I've already started. It's actually pretty simple to do, and it'll only take you about 15 to 20 minutes, and this is an exercise that you should be doing really about 2 times per year to make sure that you know where all of your inefficient and lazy dollars are hiding out, and to make sure that you know who is getting your hard-earned money every single month. So here's what we're going to do. First thing that you need to do is jump online and print out the last 60 days of your statements from your checking accounts, your savings accounts, your credit cards. Any account where you have money sitting or where you spend money from, you need to print those statements. If you've got 2 checking accounts or 2 savings accounts, print them both. Now, since you're either listening to me on a podcast or you're watching me on a video, feel free to hit the pause button. Go print those statements now. I promise I'll be waiting right here for you when you get back.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, welcome back. Now, grab a pen and one of those statements, and we're just going to do a very quick, very easy bank audit and money audit. There's really only 3 things that you need to look for. The first are things that you haven't used, don't want, or don't need. So go down the list of your first statement, and if you spot anything that falls into one of those categories, write a C next to it on the list. That C stands for cancel. Now, a general rule of thumb that I try to follow is that if you've got something that you've not seen or used, but you've been paying for it and it's had no usage for 12 months, it's probably something that you don't need to keep paying for. Next, I want you to look down that same list and look for things that you do need or do want, but you feel like the price has gone up more than it should, or you're just in general paying too much. And put an R next to those items on the list. That R stands for redo or renegotiate. And then lastly, look down the list for things that you just don't know what they are. You can't figure it out. You don't know if you should be paying for them or not. Put a question mark next to all of those items so that you remember to go and check. Should it have a C? Should it have an R? Or is it indeed something that you need to continue paying for? Now, the cancels are easy to deal with. Either jump online or call up the company and cancel the account, put a stop to those payments, and start saving that money. When I was looking at my list of just one of my accounts, I found 3 items that I no longer used. I found a few marketing companies that I was paying for that I didn't use their marketing anymore. I found an old vacation club that I've had for the past 18 months that I've never booked a vacation. And I found out that we were still paying for Showtime when my wife and I used to have it to watch a particular show that isn't even on anymore. So just canceling those 3 items freed up about $210 per month for me personally. Dealing with the redo items, that's the next on the list. That takes a little bit more effort, but I promise you, your efforts will be greatly rewarded. If you've been with the same cell phone company, internet provider, cable service, insurance company, or anyone else where you've been on the same plan for at least 24 months, you've probably exhausted all of your new customer discounts. You've probably lost all of the rewards that you used to get, and you are probably paying more than you need to for quite a few different services. I had been on the same cell phone plan for the last 18 years. My cable company had me under the same contract for the last 4 years, and my insurance policies, well, actually my insurance policies were great because I have a kick-ass insurance team. Anyways, if you've got insurance and you've not reviewed it over the last 12 to 24 months, same thing. You might be losing some discounts or not getting some discounts that you used to qualify or could still qualify for. Also, are your credit card companies charging you an annual fee? Is your bank charging you a monthly service charge? So far, I've just made a few phone calls to some of my different providers, but I've already been able to save another $100 per month by either updating my plans to the most current, locking things in to another term to get those extra discounts, or just getting rid of the extra fluff that I didn't realize they had added onto my account. Now, I'm not done with all of my accounts yet, but I've personally freed up over $300 per month, or about $3,600 per year so far. Now, before I show you some awesome things that you can do with that $3,600 per year, let me tell you about my toilet paper experiment from episode 1, because a few of those financial lessons actually apply to what we're talking about today as well. So back in episode 1, I read a news article that basically said Americans were using 3 rolls of toilet paper per week per person, or about 141 rolls per year, which I thought seemed crazy. So I did my own money experiment. I got my own roll of toilet paper and I used it exclusively for an entire week. What were the results? I'm so glad you asked. I ended up using about 3/4 of that very first roll. So I did not even go through 1 roll of toilet paper. Now, I actually did try to read the entire 31-page report about the toilet paper usage study. It was put out by the National Resource Defense Council, but there's only so much TP research that you can read. I wanted to find out, were they using single ply versus double? Were they using a single roll or a double roll? But I could not find that information. And honestly, it doesn't matter anyways. Even if I was using a double roll versus their single, that's 91 rolls per year, nowhere near the 141 rolls cited in the study, which makes me feel pretty awesome. And it makes me feel a little bit like a defender of the Canadian forests, because that's where most US toilet paper is sourced from. But that's not the point, and the actual number doesn't really matter, at least not for this exercise. What matters is what happened when I started paying attention. Now, at first, when my toilet paper roll was new and big and full, I used it a little bit haphazardly. I used it to blow my nose. I caught myself using it as a napkin one day. But as my roll started to look smaller and smaller, I became more and more aware of my usage. Do I really need 12 squares? Can I get away with 8? Should I really be drying my hands with this toilet paper when there's a towel just right on the other side of the bathroom? I call this the law of measurement, which isn't a real thing, but I think it should be. And this is what it says, or it goes like this. If you measure what matters always improves. Just recognizing my usage and measuring it against the national average caused me to be a more frugal toilet paper user. And in theory, it helped me save 50 rolls of toilet paper over the course of the year compared to the national average. That's a 35% improvement, or 35% better than the national average. Now, I looked on Amazon and I can get about 50 rolls of toilet paper for $25. So the money here isn't really the big thing. I do want to save the forests, but even that isn't the big thing here. The big thing is the principle, because if measuring works for toilet paper and it saves you 35% of your usage it works with your money too. Now, we're not going to get into budgets today, but this is why budgets work, because you're measuring your money usage. You're seeing the money leaks as they happen, and you are plugging those holes faster. So what's the bottom line here? First off, paying attention pays off. Doing a money audit a couple of times per year to make sure that your money is being used efficiently will literally save you hundreds or thousands of dollars per year that you could put to better use. Just getting started, I told you I've saved about $300 per month from my audit on those dollars that were being wasted. So what are some different, better ways that you could use it? Well, the average American household has $8,300 in credit card debt. Instead of paying the minimum payments, if you applied that $300 per month to your credit cards, this is going to sound crazy, but the math is true. You would pay off your credit cards 37 years sooner and save yourself $20,000 in interest. I've got a link to that actual math in the show notes if you want to take a look at that. What if you've got a $300,000 home loan for 30 years? Well, if you applied that $300 extra to your mortgage payments, you would turn a 30-year mortgage into a 21-year mortgage, and amazingly, you would save $168,000 interest on your home. Or you could put it into a Roth IRA, and over 30 years, you would save $125,000 in tax-free money. Now, if you didn't want to use it for any of those financial things, maybe you could just finally take that family vacation. Maybe you could do some of those things that would bring more joy to your life compared to the cable channels that you haven't looked at, the magazines you haven't read, or any of those other money leaks that you came across. So here's the challenge for the next week. Can you find more money leaks than me? Can you find more wasted and inefficient dollars than I am? I've already started my audit, but I'm looking forward to finishing it over the course of this next week. And I'm going to share my results with you in episode number 5, because next week I've got my buddy and business partner from Brian joining me again in the studio. We'll be getting a little more technical next week. We'll be finishing up a conversation we started in episode 2, the time in the markets versus timing the markets conversation. So I'm looking forward to that. That's it for this week. As a reminder, we're going to start answering some viewer questions and client questions. Did not have a chance to get to that this week, but if you've got a question about your own personal money puzzle, please email it to us at questions@yourmoneypuzzle.com. You can also join us online. All of our social media information is in the show notes or on our website at yourmoneypuzzle.com. I am Robert Edgin, and until next week, be safe, have a little fun, and go out and do something to improve your money puzzle. You'll be glad that you did. I'll talk to you soon.
Registered representative of and securities offered through Securities Management and Research, Inc., SM&R. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through BFC Planning, Inc. Edgin Insurance and Financial Services, Johnson Financial Services, SM&R, American National Family of Companies, and BFC Planning are independent entities. There are risks involved with investing which may include market fluctuation and possible loss of principal value. Particular investments may not be suitable for certain situations. Carefully consider the risks and possible consequences involved prior to making an investment decision. Our firm does not provide legal or tax advice. Be sure to consult with your own legal and tax advisors before taking any action that may have tax implications.